So I've discussed with you also. So I've discussed with you also this problem, Anandaram Prabhu, that when we are in the course of our studies, our spiritual practice, our sadhana, sometimes doubts come inside ourselves. You know, like of course, because we are not self-realized, sometimes a doubt comes to us that maybe what we are doing is not right, or maybe we are not understanding the process, or maybe the process itself is not proper, or what is the problem. Like we try to analyze it. So we have to always keep one thing. This is just my personal realization which I'm sharing. Then we'll discuss what the acharyas are saying only. So I have gone through these doubts many times, and there's something that I have finally realized after study of Chaitanya Charitamrita, that is the Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy in particular is the most accommodating of all theological processes, of all the religious processes. When we see, for example, this statement, Lord Sri Krishna and his plenary expansions are all in the category of the Lord himself, the energetic absolute truth, whereas his devotees, his eternal associates, are his energies. The energy and energetic are fundamentally one, but since their functions are differently exhibited, they are simultaneously different also. Thus, the absolute truth is manifested in diversity in one unit. The philosophical truth, which is pursuant to the Vedanta Sutra, is called Achintya Bhedabhed Tattva, or the conception of simultaneous oneness and difference. This particular paragraph actually explains the sum and substance of all Vedic philosophies. There are many schools of thought. The impersonalist school of thought, the Shankara school, Sharirak Bhashya. Then there are the four Vaishnava Sampradayas. Then there are sub branches of these Sampradayas. For example, Vallabh Sampradaya or Harivansh Sampradaya or Ramanandi Sampradaya. These are different sub branches of other Sampradayas, originating from other Sampradayas. And all these Sampradayas are more or less at odds with each other. Like none of these five really accept others' theological understanding. And it is understandable also in the sense that, that they have their perspective. But to reject other philosophies is certainly an error because the Lord is infinite. So, if we accept the Sri Vaishnava philosophy and we reject the Madhva philosophy, then who's right actually? Because from the perspective of pure Vedic philosophy, both are actually just interpretations. Both are based on Puranic literature. So, both are actually interpreting philosophy in their own way. So, in other words, what we can say is that both are just opinions expressed by certain personalities. So, to accept one and to reject other doesn't seem like a very sane idea. So, this difference, and actually, like pure Smartha Brahmanas, who are essentially followers of Adi Shankara, they reject all the Vaishnava philosophies, saying that these are Puranic philosophies, these are just some sentimental interpretations of Vedanta Sutras. They don't accept Ramayana or Mahabharata or Puranas as such. At the same time, Vaishnava Acharyas, they explain that the Puranas are essentially expansions of Vedanta Sutras. They are actually commentaries of Vedanta Sutras. In other words, it's always just one opinion against the other. But if we really want to reconcile all these philosophical thoughts, which actually Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is going to do in this literature, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is doing, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is presenting it. So we have to understand that these are certainly opinions, but these are realized opinions. Like a physicist, for example, a student of physics just studies Schrodinger's principle. He just studies some quantum mechanics. But a scientist who has worked in a particle accelerator or who has worked in a research lab actually has seen those things. So he can explain the subtleties. A student who's studying a book may not understand anything, really. He may just understand some mathematical concepts. So just like that, these acharyas are tattvadarshis. They have seen the truth. But their followers may not be tattvadarshis. They may be just followers. Therefore, there are so many opinions, all contradicting each other. So if we have to understand Gaudiya philosophy, we have to accept it with a very open, universal mind. Because we have not realized the truth, we cannot say that this is right and other is wrong. We accept the opinions of the acharyas. Therefore, we do not debate unnecessarily, especially if it is Siddhant. Of course, there are upasiddhantas, like for example, the Sahajiyas and all. They are like kind of creating their own Siddhant. That is rejected. But acharyas who have expressed their opinions on the basis of scriptures, for example, Madhvacharya on the basis of uh, Bhagavatam, or Ramanujacharya on the basis of Vishnu Puran, all these opinions must be accepted as they are, because acharyas in themselves have not rejected other forms of philosophies. Madhvacharya has not presented Vishishtadvaita, but he has not refuted Vishishtadvaita either. Ramanuja has presented Vishishtadvaita, but he has not rejected Dvaita. These are complementary philosophies, but unfortunately, if we hear outside of sampradayas, outside of our sampradaya, we will see many contradictions. Therefore, it is best to stick to our sampradaya teachings and understand that because the Lord is infinite, his understandings are also bound to be infinite. And we accept the verdict of the self-realized souls like Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, Vishnu Swami, Nimbarka Swami, or Vallabhacharya, or Srila Prabhupada, or Bhakti Vinod Thakur. So at the moment, it is not for us to debate these philosophical nuances, but we should rather try to understand the philosophy in deep and try to realize it. Okay, so let's start. Vande Gurun Isha Bhaktan.
Vande Guru Isha Bhaktan.
Isham Ishavatarakan.
Isham Ishavatarakan.
Prakasham Chatat Shakti.
Prakasham Tachati.
Krishna Chaitanya Samyakam.
Krishna Chaitanya Samyakam.
Yes, Prabhu.
Translation: I offer my respectful obeisance unto the spiritual masters, the devotees of the Lord's incarnation, his plenary portions, his energies, and the primeval Lord himself, Sri Krishna Chaitanya.
So these verses, first 13 verses, will be repeated 2 more times within this chapter only. And each time the explanation will get deeper and deeper. So the spiritual masters. This is a very important point. This is a big misconception which has come within our ISKCON movement. And in the last decade, I would say, my guru, your guru, or my guru Maharaj says this, your guru Maharaj says that, Srila Prabhupada says this. So when we use the word guru, we are not referring to one person. We are referring to the principle. That's why he's saying Vande Gurun. So we are never offering, when we are offering Dandavats, we are not offering to just my spiritual master, we are offering to the whole Guru Parampara, the whole Sampradaya. There is no question of my Guru or your Guru. There is either Guru or no Guru. So, spiritual masters, the devotees of the Lord's incarnations, his plenary portions, his energies, and the primeval Lord himself, Sri Krishna Chaitanya. Because these are all one and the same. These are all different aspects of the absolute truth, which are meant for deliverance of the living entity. Chaitanya Charitamrita in particular is talking about Shiksha. Chaitanya Charitamrita is hardcore about deliverance of living entity. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, there is no question of, speaking some katha or something. This is pure philosophy, pure Siddhant, only meant to deliver the living entity from the clutches of material energy. So the devotees of the Lord, so when we say Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha, we are offering obeisances to the devotees of the Lord, because the devotees of the Lord are also a part of the system which is meant to deliver us from material nature. So Vaishnav, so when we say, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So we refer to the Lord, his expansions, his followers, and all the devotees, everyone. Because the Lord is manifest through his devotees also. Vande Shri Krishna Chaitanya.
Vande
Second
Shri
verse,
Krishna
Prabhu.
Chaitanya.
Nityanandau Sahoditau.
Nityanando
Nityanando
Sahodito.
Sahodito.
Gaudodaye Pushpavantau.
Gaudodaya Pushpavantau.
Chitrau Shandau Tamonudau.
Chitrau Shandau Tamo Nudau.
Tamo.
Yes, Prabhu.
Well, Prabhu, you want to read?
Yeah. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Sri Krishna Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, who are like the sun and moon. They have arisen simultaneously on the horizon of Gauda to dissipate the darkness of ignorance and thus wonderfully bestowed benediction upon all. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Hmm. So Shri Krishna and Shri Krishna Chaitanya and Nityanand, who are like sun and the moon. So this is Krishna and Balram, because Balram is the first plenary expansion of the Supreme Lord. Yeah, text 3, Prabhu. So there will be no purports till I think verse 13, and after that they start. First, yeah, after text 19, the purports will start. Yad Advaitam Brahmopanishadi Tadapya Asya Tanubha.
Yet Advaitam Brahmopanashadi Tad Api Asya Tanubha.
या आत्मांतर्यामी पुरुष इति सो श्याम स विभव
Ya Atmantara Yami Purusha Itiso Shamsah Vibhava.
ऐश्वर्य पूर्णो यह भगवान स स्वयं अयम
Shadaishwarya Purno Yaha Bhagavan Sa Swayam Ayam.
Swayam Ayam.
न चैतन्यात् कृष्णात् जगति परम तत्वम परम इह
Na Chaitanya
Chaitanya
Krishna
Krishna
Jagati
Jagati Param
Paratatvam
Tattvam
Param
Param Iha.
Iha.
Yes, Prabhu.
Translation. What the Upanishad describe as the impersonal Brahman is but the effulgence of his body. The Lord, known as the Super Soul, is but his localized plenary portion. Lord Chaitanya is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna himself, full with six opulences. He is the absolute truth, and no other truth is greater than or equal to him.
So वदन्ति तत् तत्त्वविदस् तत्त्वं यद् ज्ञानमद्वयं ब्रह्मेति परमात्मेति भगवान इति शब्दते. So like the Lord is a person, he has his prabha or his effulgence and his reflection. So the effulgence is Brahman and reflection is Paramatma. However, like for example, every human being also has an effulgence. Actually, if you do some thermal imaging, you can see that human beings also have effulgence because we are also minute particles of the Supreme. But our effulgence is not all pervading, and we have reflection also, but our reflection is not conscious. But the Supreme Lord's effulgence and reflection are both conscious. That is the distinction between living entity and the Supreme Lord. अनर्पिता चरिम चिरात करुणाय वतीर्णः कलौ
Anarpita Charim Chirata Karuna Tina Kulau
समर्पयितुं समर्पण समर्पयितुम् उन्नतोज्ज्वल रसां स्वभक्ति श्रियम्
Samarpayitam
Samarpayitam
Nattvajvala
Unnatujjala
Rasam
Rasam
Swabhakti
Swabhakti
Shriyam.
Shriyam.
हरिः पुरट सुंदर द्युति कदम्ब संदीपितः
Hari
Hari
Purata
Purata
Sundara
Sandara
Dviti
Giri
Kadamba
Kadamba
Sandipita
Sandhi Patari.
सदा हृदय कंदरे स्फुरतौ वः शचीनंदन.
Sada
Hridaya
Hridaya
Kandare
Kandare
Spuratau
Smritao Vaha Sachi
Sachi
Nandana.
Nandana.
Hmm.
May the Supreme Lord, who is known as the son of Srimati Shachi Devi, be transcendently situated in the innermost chambers of your heart. Resplendent with the radiance of molten gold, he has appeared in the age of Kali by his causeless mercy to bestow what no incarnation has ever offered before. The most sublime and radiant mellow of devotional service, the mellow of conjugal love.
Oh, so there's a slight difference here because I have this the 1975 Chaitanya Charitamrita of Srila Prabhupada. It says, His causeless mercy, he has appeared in the age of Kali by his causeless mercy to bestow what no incarnation ever offered before, the most sublime and radiant spiritual knowledge of the mellow taste of his service.
I'm reading from Gita base. I think even what Anandram Prabhu is sharing us also the same text what you are reading.
I am reading from 1975, this one.
Yeah, sure.
So there is a difference
So
in translation.
yes, Prabhu, last line. Doesn't make much of a difference. Most sublime and radiant mellow of devotional service, the mellow of conjugal love. But here it is written, most sublime and radiant spiritual knowledge of the mellow taste of his service. हाँ, स्वभक्ति श्रियम. हाँ, उन्नतोज्वल रसाम स्वभक्ति श्रियम. Radiant spiritual knowledge of the mellow taste of his service. So this is more correct translation which Srila Prabhupada has given. Okay, we continue. Radha Krishna, text 5, Prabhu. राधा कृष्ण प्रणय विकृतिर लादिनी शक्तिर अस्माद.
राधा कृष्ण प्रणय विकृतिर लादनी शक्तिरस्मात्
एकात्मानौ अपि भुवि पुरा देह भेदं गतौ तौ.
एकात्मानौ अपि भुवि पुरा देह भेदं गतौ तौ.
चैतन्याख्यं प्रकटम अधुना तद्वयं चैक्यम आप्तम.
चैतन्याख्यं प्रकटम अधुना तद्वयं चैक्यम्.
राधा भावद्युति सुवलितं नवमी कृष्ण स्वरूपम.
राधा भावद्युति सुवलितं नवमी कृपा स्वरूपम. Translation: The loving affairs of Sri Radha and Krishna are transcendental manifestations of the Lord's internal pleasure-giving potency. Although Radha and Krishna are one in their identity, previously they separated themselves. Now these two transcendental identities have again united in the form of Sri Krishna Chaitanya. I bow down to him who has manifested himself with the sentiment and the complexion of Srimati Radharani, although he is Krishna himself. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So yes, in the beginning, Radha and Krishna separated themselves eternally. Now they have come back together again. Because Radha and Krishna are not different. It's not that Radharani is different from Krishna. She is his Ladini Shakti. She is his own internal potency. Lakshmi, Narayan, Radha, Krishna, Ram, Sita. They are eternally inseparable. And in this material world, actually, this is a misconception that the living entity carries. That's why there is male-female attraction. Actually, in this material world, male and female are distinct living entities who are caught in the different conceptions of being male and female. But Radha and Krishna are different. Is Purusha and Shakti. We are not Purusha and Shakti. We are all Shaktis only. So we are in the misconception of being a male. Someone is in the misconception of being a female. And therefore, there is this mutual attraction, even though this is not the reality. So Radha and Krishna have separated, but now they have come together as Sri Krishna Chaitanya. So one important point is text 4 is actually a benediction. May that Lord who is known as son of Srimati Shachi Devi be transcendently situated in the innermost chambers of your heart. So Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami starts this narration with a benediction. So we continue. Shri Radhaya Pranaya Mahima Kidrasho Vanayaiva.
Shri Radhaya
Pranaya Mahima Kidrasho Vanayaiva.
Vadyo Yenadbhuta Madhurema Kidrasho Vamadhiya.
Swadhyo
Swadhyo
yenadruga
yenadruga
madhurima
madhurima
kidrishu
kidrishuva
va
madhiya.
madhiya.
सौख्यम चास्य मद अनुभवतः कीदृशम वेति लोभात्
Saukyam
Kyam
chasya
chasya mad
anubodhat
anubhava
kidrisham
kidrisham
veti
veti
lobhat.
lobhat.
तद भावाढ्य समजनी शची गर्भ सिंधौ हरिंदु
Tat bhavadya
Tadbhavadhyah
samadhi
samadhani shachi
sachi
garbha
garba
sindhau
sindhau harin.
harinduha. Translation. Desiring to understand the glory of Radharani's love, the wonderful qualities in him that she alone realizes through her love, and the happiness she feels when she realizes the sweetness of his love, the Supreme Lord Hari, richly endowed with her emotions, appeared from the womb of Srimati Shachi Devi as a moon appears in the ocean.
Hare Krishna. So hmm, these are the three internal reasons for the appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. To understand the glory of Radharani's love. So what is that love that she experiences? The wonderful qualities in him that she alone relishes through her love. So what are the qualities of Krishna that she relishes because she loves him? And the happiness she feels when she realizes the sweetness of his love. So the happiness that she experiences from that love. Now, this is a very important point. So, Lord Krishna was present in the battlefield of Mahabharata. All through the story of Mahabharata, Lord Krishna was present there. And yet, these wicked souls like Karna, Dushasan, Duryodhan, Shakuni, they did not understand him. He was the same Krishna, the all beautiful personality, all attractive. But why is it that only Pandavas, Bhishma Dev, Vidur, or a few handful personalities here and there actually, worshipped him, they loved him? All the others were practically indifferent to him. The kings of Magad, all these Kirataraj and all these kings were like completely indifferent to Krishna, or sometimes even inimical. So to relish the qualities of Lord Krishna, to understand his beauty, one has to love him. So see the wonderful qualities in him that she alone relishes through her love. The qualities of Lord Krishna were manifest to everyone. Everybody could see these qualities. And yet not everybody could, surrender to him or find him even attractive. So the quality that is really needed to understand the Lord is love. Prema pumartho mahan. Shrimad Bhagavatam pramanam amalam. Prema pumartho mahan. So as Shrimad Bhagavatam teaches us that Lord is not approached through some scholarship or celibacy or austerities or anything else, but from surrender of the heart, from pure loving devotion. That's why Srila Prabhupada always uses the term devotional service and not even devotion. So Radharani is relishing these qualities because she loves Krishna. So if we want to relish the qualities of Krishna, we also need to love him. Yes, text 7, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Probably in doubt.
Hmm.
Love happens to be spontaneous, probably. So now we are not in that stage where we are able to love the Lord. वो
Hmm.
किधर है हम किधर है, so there is so much of a gap.
Hmm.
But this by doing this sadhana bhakti,
Hmm.
will that at what stage do we normally get this even a tinge of love? कब हमको मिलेगा? सिर्फ सेवा करने से भी, भजन के अलावा सेवा भी करना जरूरी है क्या, या what is exactly this easiest way to attain this love of God?
That's a very nice question. Actually, that's a very fundamental question. It's very fundamental and very simple, but not easy to understand. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself is answering this later on in Madhya Lila. नित्य सिद्ध कृष्ण प्रेम साध्य कबू नाय श्रवण आदि शुद्ध चित्ते करये उदय. This nitya siddha Krishna prem, this love of Krishna is within our heart. How do we know this, that this love is within our heart? Actually, we love so many things in this world: our mother, father, husband, wife, society, nation, all these. So the extent of our love may be different, or it may be more, it may be less, but love is certainly there. This love is a very perverted reflection of the original love within our heart. Like we have a piece of glass, when we see through a red glass, everything appears red. But we can still see. We can still see the form. We can see the shape, even though the color may be distorted. So the propensity to the love is still existing and we can perceive it, but it is distorted through the lens of Maya. So Shravanadi Shuddha Chitte Karaye Uday. When we purify the heart, when we cleanse the heart of all the material consciousness, this pure love manifests. So now the question is, does sadhana bhakti help us attain it? So there is a lot of debate, especially amongst the Mayavadis and this so-called Vrindavan Babajis who talk about Raganuga Bhakti and other things. So actually this is very easily reconciled. Why are we chanting Hare Krishna mantra? Why are we worshipping Krishna and Radha and not Lakshmi Narayan or Ram Sita? Why are we chanting 16 rounds and not 160 rounds or 6 rounds? All these questions are answered simply that we are uh, obeying the instructions of the spiritual master. So, as we are going to see in this chapter, as we have started already, that the spiritual master is the representative of Krishna, and by obeying his instructions, we please him and we develop love for him. And by developing love for the spiritual master, the natural love for Krishna is automatically ignited. This love is already present within the heart, but it gets a guideline, it gets a direction when we follow the instructions of the spiritual master. So, in this way, by following sadhana bhakti, we can actually attain pure love of Godhead. Because this sadhana is not a mere obedience of instruction, but it is rather an expression of love for the spiritual master, who is none other than the supreme personality of servitor Godhead. So, does that answer your question, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so that. But not to worry, the same answer will be given in this chapter itself. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami will make it amply clear. Sankarshanah Karana Toyashayi
Sankarshana Karana
Karanatoyashayi
Garbodashayi Cha Payobdishayi
Garbhodashayi cha
Garbhodashayi cha
Payogdishayi
Payogdishayi
Sheshash Cha Yasyamsha Kalasa Nitya
Sheshascha Yasma
Yashyamsha Kalasa
Kalasa
Nitya
Nitya
Nandakhya Ramah Sharanam Mamastu.
Bhakya Rama
Sakya Rama Sharanam
Namastu.
Namastu.
Translation: May Shri Nityananda Ram be the object of my constant remembrance. Sankarshana, Sheshanag, and the Vishnus who lie on the Karana ocean, Garbha ocean, and ocean of milk are his plenary portions and the portions of his plenary portions.
So Nityananda Ram is like the principal cause. He's a principal cause of the expansions of the Lord. I mean, Lord, we see in Srimad Bhagavatam that so that we see that Lord, that the three forms of Lord, Sankarsana, Aniruddha, Sankarsana, Pradyumna, Vasudev, they are all emanating from the Supreme Lord Himself. Sankarsana, Aniruddha. So the Supreme Lord is manifest as Sri Nityananda Ram, and He's the cause, He's the supreme servitor of the Supreme Lord. Yes. We continue through text 8. मायातीते व्यापी वैकुंठ लोके
मायातीते व्यापी वैकुंठलोके
पूर्णैश्वर्ये श्री चतुर्व्यूह मध्ये
पूर्णैश्वर्ये श्री चतुर्व्यूह मध्ये
रूपम यस्योद्भाति संकर्षणाख्यम
रूपम
यशोदभाति
यशोदभाति
संकर्षणाख्यम
संकर्षणाख्यम
तम श्री नित्यानंद रामम प्रपद्ये.
तं श्री नित्यानंद
श्री
रामं
नित्यानंदरामं
प्रपद्ये.
प्रपद्ये. Translation: I surrender unto the lotus feet of Sri Nityananda Rama, who is known as Sankarshana, in the midst of the Chaturvyuha, consisting of Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. He possesses full opulences and resides in Vaikuntha Loka, far beyond the material creation.
So he's Sankarshan also. He's the primeval cause. He's the, like Lord Balram, he's Sankarshan. So there's Aniruddha Sankarshana Pradyumna Vasudev. So within that, Sankarshan is also Nityananda Ram. Maya Bharta Jand Sankarshyanga
Maya Bharta Janda Sankarshanayangah
Shete Sakshat Karanam Bodhi Madhye
शेते
Shete
साक्षात्
Sakshat
कारणाम बोधि
Karanam Bodhi
मध्ये.
Madhye
Yasya Kamshah Shri Puman Adidevas
यस्य
Yasme
श्री
Kamshaha
पुमान
Shri
आदि
Puman Adi
देवस.
Devas
Tam Shri Nityananda Ramam Prapadye.
तं श्री
Om Shri
नित्यानंद रामं
Nityanandaramam
प्रपद्ये.
Prabhadhe.
Translation: I offer my full obeisances unto the feet of Sri Nityanand Ram, whose partial representation, called Karanodaksha Vishnu, lying on the Karana ocean, is the original Purusha, the master of the illusionary energy, and the shelter of all the universes.
Yasyamsha Shrila Garbhodashayi
Yasyam Shah Srila Garbhodashtayi
Sham Sashila Garbhodashari,
Yannabhyabjam Loka Sanghata Ninalam
in Nabhya Abjam
Yajam
Loka
Loka
Sankata Nalam,
Sanghatha Nalam
Loka Sashtuh Sutika Dhama Dhatus
Loka
Loka
Shashtra
Shritu
Shutika
Sutika
Dham
Dhama Dhatus
Dhatus.
Tam Shri Nityananda Ramam Prapadye.
Tam Shri
Shri
Nityananda Ramam
Nityanandaramam
Prapadye.
Prabhadhe. Translation: I offer my full obeisances unto the feet of Sri Nityananda Rama, a partial part of whom is Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. From the navel of Garbhodakashayi Vishnu sprouts the lotus that is the birthplace of Brahma, the engineer of the universe. The stem of that lotus feet is the resting place of the multitude of planets.
So you see, actually, the activities of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the Panchatattva's will appear to be very ordinary. That's why in the broader sampradayas, Mahaprabhu is accepted as a sannyasi, as a devotee, nothing more than that. He is Channa avatar. His form is not meant to be understood by everyone. Therefore, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is going at great lengths to explain the original position of the Panchatattvas. We're going to see all of them here. So that we may not mistake them to be ordinary personalities. Like the broader saintly class of people in India, they accept Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu as very saintly personalities. But Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is elaborating here that they are not just some ordinary saintly personalities, they are the supreme personalities themselves. Text 11, Prabhu. Yasyam Sham Sham Shah Paratmakhilanam
यश्याम
Yam
साम
Sham
समसः
Sham Shah
परमात्मकिलकान् परमात्मकिलान्
Poshta Poshta Vishnur Bhati Dugdabhi
पोष्ट विष्णु
Pushta Vishnur
भाति
Bhavati Duddha
दुग्धाभि
Bhishai
शयि
Shauni Bharta Yatkala Sopyanantas
शौनि भर्ता
Swami
यत्
Bharta
कालोऽस्यापि
Yatkala
अनन्तस्.
Sopyanantas
Tam Shri Nityananda Ramam Prapadye.
तं श्री
Tam Shri
नित्यानंद नामं
Nityanandaramam
प्रपद्ये.
Prabhadhe.
Translation: I offer my respectful obeisances onto the feet of Sri Nityananda, whose secondary part is the Vishnu lying in the ocean of milk. That Shirodakshina Vishnu is the super soul of all living entities and the maintainer of all the universes. Sheshna is his further support.
So Paramatma within the heart is actually Kshirodakshai Vishnu. So Kshirodakshai Vishnu exists in two forms actually. One is his Kshir Sagar. So when we hear the story of Brahma and the demigods approaching Lord Vishnu, they are not approaching Garbhodak Vishnu, they are approaching Kshirodakshai Vishnu. That's why they go to the shores of the ocean of milk and then they meditate on the Supreme. So the same form of the Lord, he exists in this planet called Brahma Loka. At the same time, within the heart of all living entities, he is also existing as Paramatma. And that is Sri Nityananda Prabhu. It's 12, Prabhu. Mahavishnu Jagat Karta,
Mahavishnu
Mahavishnu
Jagat
Jagat
Mayaya Yah Srijatyada,
Mayaya
Karta
Srijat
Srijatyadaha
Tasyavatara Evayam,
Tasya Avatara
Tasyavatara
Evayam
Evayam
Advaitacharya Ishvara.
Advaitacharya Ishvara.
Advaitacharya Ishvaraha. Translation. Lord Advaita Acharya is the incarnation of Mahavishnu, whose main function is to create the cosmic world through the actions of Maya.
So Lord Advaita Acharya is Mahavishnu. He is also known as Sadashiv. So there is a form of Lord Vishnu called Sadashiv. I mean, one of the expansions of Lord Narayan is called Sadashiv, who expands as Lord Shiva. So therefore, Advaita Acharya is known as incarnation of Sadashiv or Mahavishnu.
Can you repeat that, Prabhuji, please?
Yeah. So one of the 24 expansions of the Lord is also known as Sadashiv. This Sadashiv is the primeval cause, is the primary cause of Lord Shiva. And Advaita Acharya is an expansion of that form of Vishnu. Therefore, he is called incarnation of Sadashiv and Vishnu. He is actually, it's the same personality. It comes in the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam.
Okay.
We'll study that also. We'll study Srimad Bhagavatam also soon. Advaitam Harinadvaitat.
Advaitam Harinadvaitat.
Advaitam Harina Daitva
Acharyam Bhakti Shamsanat.
Acharyam Bhakti Shamsanat
Bhaktavataram Isham Tam.
Bhaktavataram
Bhaktavataram
Ishamtam
Ishamtam
Advaitacharyam Ashraye.
Advaitacharyam Ashraye.
Translation. Because he is non-different from Hari, the Supreme Lord, he is called Advaita. And because he propagates the cult of devotion, he is called Acharya. He is the Lord and the incarnation of the Lord's devotee. Therefore, I take shelter of him.
Hari Hari. He is the Lord and the incarnation of Lord's devotee.
Incarnation of Lord's devotee, ये नहीं समझा bro.
So he is the Shakti Tattva also. The living entities are also originating from the Supreme Lord. So Advaita Acharya is that form of the Lord from whom the living entities also emanate. Actually, Mayavadis always talk about Brahma Satya Jagan Mithya. And we also talk about the absolute truth. So the absolute truth is one, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But the Supreme Personality of Godhead performs many functions. So the living entity is also emanating from the Supreme, but he's not just emanating like this. We are not just falling out like sweat from Krishna's body. There are expansions of the Lord and expansions and expansions. So from those expansions, the living entities are emanating.
How can one be simultaneously Lord as well as incarnation of Lord's devotee? Matlab, that's the soul representing Lord's devotee, right? So
yes,
so then
the Jiva Tattva.
So how can he be Lord also at the Jiva Tattva also?
So he is the origin of Jiva Tattva.
Okay.
But he is not Jiva Tattva himself, but he is the origin. Therefore, he incarnates as Lord's devotee.
Because among Panchatattva, Jeev Tattva is Shiva's Thakur, right?
Shivas Thakur.
The representative of Jeev Tattva.
Yes.
Okay.
Now comes the famous verse. Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam
Tattvatmakam Krishnam
Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam
Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam
Bhaktavataram Bhaktakhyam
Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam
Bhaktakyam
Navami Bhakta Shaktikam.
Namami Bhakta Shaktikam. Translation: I offer my obeisance unto the Supreme Lord Krishna, who is non-different from his feature as a devotee, devotional incarnation, devotional manifestation, pure devotee, and devotional energy.
So this will be elaborated later. So his feature as a devotee, that is Mahaprabhu, devotional incarnation is Nityananda Prabhu, devotional manifestation is Advaita Acharya, pure devotee is Shivas Thakur, and devotional energy is Gadadhar Pandit. Jayatam Surutau Pangor
Jayatam Suratau Pangor
Yatam Suratau Pangor
No Manda Mater Gati
Mamamanda Mater Gati
Mat Sarvasva Padam Bhojau
Mat Sarvasva Padam Bhojau
Bhojau
Radha Madana Mohanau.
Radha Madan Mohan.
Translation. Glory to the all merciful Radha and Madan Mohana. I am lame and ill advised, yet they are my directors, and their lotus feet are everything to me.
Radha Madan Mohan are Sambandhacharya, Sambandha deities. So, Divyad Vrindaranya Kalpadrumada
Yad Vrindaranya
Vrindaranya Kalpadrumadaha
Srimad Ratnagara Simhasanasthav
Srimad Ratnagara Simhasanasthav
Srimad Radha Shila Govinda Devo
Srimad Radha Shila Govinda
Devo
Preshthalibi Sevya Manav Smarami.
Preshta Libi Sevya Manav Smarami.
Yes.
Translation: In a temple of jewels in Vrindavan, underneath a desire tree, Sri Sri Radha Govinda, served by their most confidential associates, sit upon an effulgent throne. I offer my humble obeisances unto them.
Shriman Rasa Rasarambhi
Shriman Rasa Rasarambhi
Vanshi Vata Tatasthita
Vamshi Vata Tatasthita
Karshan Venur Sunair Gopir
Karshan Venu
Swanayar Gopir
Gopinatha Shriyestuna.
Gopinatha Shriyestuna.
Translation. Srila Gopinatha, who originated the transcendental mellow of the Rasa dance, stands on the shore of Vamshivata and attracts the attention of the cowherd damsels with the sound of his celebrated flute. May they all confer upon us their benediction.
Sambandha Abhideya and now Prayojan. So our objective is not to be a sannyasi, not to be a brahmachari, not to be this or not to be that. Our objective is simply to assist the Lord in his pastimes. If there is one line, what is the objective of our life? So just to serve the Supreme Lord in his enjoyment. That's why we say Karshan Venuswara Gopir Gopinatha Shriyastuna. So our objective is simply to serve him in his pastimes. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Yes.
Translation: Glory to Sri Chaitanya and Nityananda, glory to Advaita Chandra, and glory to all devotees of Sri Gaura, Lord Chaitanya.
Eitina Thakura Gaudiya ke Kariya Chena Atmasat.
Eitina Thakura Gaudiya ke Kariya Chena Atmasat.
ए तीनेरा चरण वंदन तीना मोरा नाथ.
ये तिनेरा
Yetinera
चरण
Charanavandana
वंदन तिने
Tine
मोरनाथ.
Moranath.
So, would like to read?
Yes,
I can read, Prabhuji. Or
yeah,
Oh.
please.
translation. These three deities of
Yes.
Vrindavan, Madan Mohan, Govind, and Gopinath, have absorbed the heart and the soul of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, followers of Lord Chaitanya. I worship their lotus feet, for they are the lords of my heart. Purport. The author of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita offers his respectful obeisances unto the three deities of Vrindavan, named Sri Radha Madan Mohan, Sri Radha Govind Dev, and Sri Radha Gopinath Ji. These three deities are the life and soul of the Bengali Vaishnavas or Gaudiya Vaishnavas, who have a natural aptitude for residing in Vrindavan. The Gaudiya Vaishnavas who follow strictly in the line of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu worship the divinity by chanting the transcendental sounds meant to develop a sense of one's transcendental relationship with the Supreme Lord, a reciprocation of mellows, rasas of mutual affection, and ultimately the achievement of the desired success in the loving service. These three deities are worshipped in three different stages of enlightenment. The followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu scrupulously follow these principles of approach. Gaudiya Vaishnavas perceive the ultimate objective in Vedic hymns composed of 18 transcendental letters that adore Krishna as Madan Mohan, Govind and Gopinath, Gopijan Vallabha. Madan Mohan is he who charms Cupid, the god of love. Govind is he who pleases the senses and the cows, and Gopijan Vallabh is the transcendental lover of the gopis. Krishna himself is called Madan Mohan, Govind, Gopijan Vallabh, and countless other names, as he plays in his different pastimes with his devotees. The three deities, Madan Mohan, Govind, Gopijan Vallabh, have very specific qualities. Worship of Madan Mohan is on the platform of re-establishing our forgotten relationship with the personality of Godhead. In the material world, we are presently in utter ignorance of our eternal relationship with the Supreme Lord. Pango refers to one who cannot move independently by his own strength, and Mandamate is one who is less intelligent because he is too absorbed in materialistic activities. It is best for such persons not to aspire for success in fruitive activities or mental speculation, but instead simply to surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The perfection of life is simply to surrender to the Supreme. In the beginning of our spiritual life, we must therefore worship Madan Mohan so that he may attract us and nullify our attachment for material sense gratification. This relationship with Madan Mohan is necessary for neophyte devotees. When one wishes to render service to the Lord with strong attachment, one worships Govind on the platform of transcendental service. Govind is the reservoir of all pleasures. When, by the grace of Krishna and the devotees, one reaches perfection in devotional service, he can appreciate Krishna as Gopijan Vallabh, the pleasure deity of the damsels of Braja. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained this mode of devotional service in three stages, and therefore these worshipable deities were installed in Vrindavan by different Goswamis. They are very dear to the Gaudiya Vaishnavas there, who visit the temples at least once a day. Besides the temples of these three deities, many other temples have been established in Vrindavan, such as the temple of Radha Damodar of Jiva Goswami, the temple of Shyamasundar of Shyamananda Goswami, the temple of Gokulanand of Loknath Goswami, and the temple of Radha Raman of Gopal Bhatta Goswami. There are seven principal temples over 400 years old that are the most important of the five. Uh, Prabhuji, sorry, last. Yeah. That are the most important of the 5,000 temples now existing in Vrindavan. Gaudiya indicates the part of India between the southern side of the Himalayan mountains and the northern part of the Vindhya hills, which is called Aryavarta, or the land of the Aryans. This portion of India is divided into five parts or provinces: Pancha Gauda Desha, Saraswat, Kashmir and Punjab, Kanya-Kubja, Uttar Pradesh, including the modern city of Lucknow, Madhya Gauda, Madhya Pradesh, Maithila, Bihar and part of Bengal, and Utkala, part of Bengal and the whole of Orissa. Bengal is sometimes called Gaudadesh, partly because it forms a portion of Maithila and partly because the capital of the Hindu king Raja Lakshman Sena was known as Gauda. This old capital later came to be known as Gaudapur and gradually Mayapur. The devotees of Orissa are called Udiyas. The devotees of Bengal are called Gaudiyas, and the devotees of southern India are known as Dravida devotees. As there are five provinces in Aryavarta, so Dakshinatya, southern India, is also divided into five provinces, which are called Pancha Dravida. The four Vaishnava Acharyas, who are the great authorities of the four Vaishnava disciplic successions, as well as Sripad Shankaracharya of the Mayavad school, appeared in the Pancha Dravida provinces. Among the four Vaishnava Acharyas, who are all accepted by the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, Sri Ramanujacharya appeared in the southern part of Andhra Pradesh at Mahabhutpuri. Sri Madhvacharya appeared at Pajakam near Vimanagiri in the district of Mangalore. Sri Vishnu Swami appeared at Pandya, and Sri Nimbarka appeared at Pungerapatana in the extreme south. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted the chain of disciplic succession from Madhvacharya, but the Vaishnavas in his line do not accept the Tattvavadis, who also claim to belong to the Madhva Sampradaya. To distinguish themselves clearly from the Tattvavadi branch of Madhva's descendants, the Vaishnavas of Bengal prefer to call themselves Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Sri Madhvacharya, also known as Sri Gauda Purnananda, and therefore the name Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, is quite suitable for the disciplic succession of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Our spiritual master, Om Vishnupad Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, accepted initiation in the Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much, Prabhu. Hmm. So, etina Thakura Gauda diya ke kariya chena atmasat, etinera charana vandan tine moranath. So, the process of devotional service is actually divided into three steps: Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojan. Of course, these will be described in details later also, but right now a brief understanding of this is given, because we must understand this way that, Chaitanya Charitamrita is actually an iterative scripture. A lot of texts of Chaitanya Charitamrita are going to be repeated. And as we go further and further, we'll realize that Chaitanya Charitamrita is essentially Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, with Bengali verses in between to connect the philosophical points. So Chaitanya Charitamrita is not like a distinct scripture from Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita, but it is rather a compilation, a compendium of the verses from there, and with connecting philosophies. So as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so before we continue, there are distinctions of philosophy, like we have discussed, Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagwan iti Shabdyate. When we say that the supreme absolute truth exists in three features of Brahman, Bhagwan, and Paramatma, that's a very simplistic explanation. The connectivity between the living entity and these forms of the absolute truth is where all the difficulty lies. And these philosophical nuances are very difficult to understand. That's why we have 5 prominent acharyas who have explained these philosophical forms. So the followers of Adi Shankara, who are also known as the followers of Sharirak, his philosophy is Sharirak Bhashya, and his followers are also known as actually Mayavadis, but Mayavadi is more like a derogatory term. But they are also known as the Shankarites. So these followers of Shankara, they accept the form of Brahman. Brahman Satya Jagan Mithya. To use the word worship may be too strong here, because they do not really worship it. They attempt to understand the reality of Brahman. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord has explained, Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma na shochati na kankshati sama sarveshu bhakteshu sama sarveshu mad bhaktim labte param sama sarveshu bhuteshu sama sarveshu, at all times, in all positions. Bhuteshu, he is established in all positions, all the time in Brahman. Mad bhaktim labte param. So the followers of Shankara have accepted the impersonal form only as the absolute and nothing else. Actually, according to the philosophy of Adi Shankara, the Brahma form is immutable. And when we are speaking, we are actually creating mutation. So the ultimate objective is to be situated in absolute silence of mind, of speech, of body, of everything. So this is a very basic understanding of the absolute. Krishna has said, Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma. One has to be established in Brahman. That's the very first stage. In the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita also, Krishna has explained the process of samadhi, being situated in the absolute. That is Brahma Bhuta. That is being situated in Brahma. But we have to go beyond it. So beyond this Brahma, when the process of bhakti starts, when Krishna says, Mad Bhaktim Labhate Param, this process is starting with the very first attachment of the very first understanding of the form of the Lord and becoming attached to it. So understanding this, perceiving this form of the Lord and getting attached to it is called Sambandha Jnana. This is Sambandha. This is establishment of the relationship, of the lost relationship of the living entity with the Supreme. This domain of the material world is the domain of Devi. This is the domain of Madana or Cupid. In this material world, up to the topmost of demigods, Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma, are also not free from the influence of attraction to the opposite sex. And therefore, the knot of the heart is very strong. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is described, Pumshama Striya Mithuni Bhavametam, Tayor Mritho Hridaya Granthamahu. So, this knot of illusion is very strong as soon as there is a perception of male and female forms. We have seen previously that Lord Krishna is Purusha, Ekala Purusha Krishna. He is the only Purusha, and Srimati Radharani is Shakti, is his Shakti, Ladini. She is his internal potency. Therefore, the attraction of Krishna to Radha is natural because they are one and the same personality. So, but in this material world, under the spell of illusion, the living entities who are particle Shaktis, who are Bahya Shakti, who are the Madhyastha Shakti, these living entities are under the misconception of being male or female and becoming attached to each other. And in this illusion, they completely forget the Supreme. So this attraction of Cupid between the hearts of two different living entities perceiving themselves to be male and female is called Madana. And this material world is called Methunyagar. The entire material world, right from Satyalok down to Patal Lok. All the 14 planetary systems are full of living entities who are under the illusion of male and female. So this is the force of Madana. But Lord Krishna is so powerful that he can attract even Madan or Cupid. Therefore, he is called Madana Mohan. By rendering sincere worship to the Supreme Lord Madan Mohan, our attraction to the female form diminishes and we become attracted to the Supreme. So, therefore, this is Sambandha. That means our establishment in spiritual life begins at that particular point. That's called Sambandha Gyan. Who are we? Athato Brahma Jigyasa. If we want to say Sambandha Gyan in Upanishadic language, we'll call it Athato Brahma Jigyasa. It's a sutra, the first Vedanta sutra. So this Brahma Jigyasa is to be situated at the lotus feet of Sri Madan Mohanji. So after becoming attracted to Madan Mohanji, after becoming attracted to the Supreme and becoming detached from material nature, we have still not attained Krishna. Because even though we may have given up material misconception, we still haven't fully developed our pure conception. And that is devotional service to the Lord. So that is called Abhideya. Abhideya means to act. You have taken admission to a university, but that doesn't mean that you have graduated. After joining the university, you need to acquire education. So that is Abhideya. That's Lord Govinda Dev. Vrindaranya Kalpadrumada. Srimat Ratnagara Singhasanasthav. So the Lord is situated and he's Govinda Dev. He's bringing pleasure to the senses. He's meant to, Govinda is meant for, so the living entity is meant to serve the senses of the Lord, Govinda. But in doing so, he himself becomes satisfied. So this is Abhideya or practice of bhakti. And the final objective is Gopinath. So Gopinathji, Gopijana Vallabha, rendering service to the Supreme Lord who is always enacting his pastimes with his internal potency in the form of Srimati Radharani and the Gopis. So to render service to them, that's Shri Gopijana Vallabha or Gopinathji. So this is a very scientific way of worshipping the Supreme Lord, first establishing our relationship with him, practicing that relationship, and finally achieving the objective of the service of the lotus feet of Sri Gopinathji. So this is the whole scientific process, Sambandha, Abhideya and Prayojan. Prayojan means the final objective and Gopinathji is the final objective. We are meant to serve the Lord in his pastimes so that we can ourselves become completely satisfied. So we are Gaudiya Vaishnavas. followers of Lord Chaitanya coming from Gauda Desha. Actually, Mahaprabhu says, Bharat Bhumit Haile Manusya Janmajar Janma Sarthaka Kari Kar Paropkar. So in the prehistoric days, what we see today now as Americas or Europe or the Australasian landscape, these were not really inhabited. And this even modern history acknowledges that these places were places of aboriginal tribes. Very few people actually used to live there. Much of the population was concentrated in the land mass which we call India today. This land was the main land where all the Vedic sciences developed, the sages and all. Of course, these sages traveled all over. So this preaching was done, the preaching of the Vedic message was done all over the world, but very little because the population itself was so less. It is only modern science and technology which has helped the human population expand so much. But in the previous ages, this was not the case. Therefore, anyone who took birth in this particular tract of land was called very fortunate. But the fortune of India was not that it was very rich or it was very highly developed. The real fortune was that the Vedic sciences were highly evolved here. One could attain the perfection of his life by simply taking birth in the land of Bharatavarsha, because there were so many sages and so much philosophy existing. Not applicable nowadays. We can still see that Indians have remnants of some traces of this bhakti, but more or less India is also a very demonic land now. So it was divided in two parts, Aryavarth and Panchadravida. Panchadravida means five rivers, five major rivers. So we have this Krishna, Tapti, and this all this Godavari, Kaveri, these rivers flowing there. So this land was irrigated by these five rivers, Panchadravid, but also the five major philosophies of Sharirak Bhashya, of Rudra, Lakshmi, Kumar, and this Brahma Sampradaya. All the philosophies evolved in this Panchadravida Kshetra. And from there on, they spread further. So, so there is Panchagaudadesh, there is Saraswat, Kanyakubja, and Madhya Gauda. This is the northern part of India, north of Vindhyas. So essentially, these lands are important because different types of Vedic philosophies existed here, and one had a very good chance to perfect one's life simply by being there. We are Gaudiyas, originating from eastern part of India, worshipping the form of Lord Krishna. There is form of Lord Ram, which is worshipped by Ramanandi sect of Ayodhya in the eastern part of UP. Then there is the other sampradayas who are worshipping different forms of the Lord. For example, Madhva Sampradaya worships the form of Gopalji. Shri Sampradaya worship Lakshmi Narayan. Their philosophy is Vishishta Advaita. The philosophy of Madhvacharya is Shuddha Dvaita, complete duality. So these are different subtleties of the theistic philosophical thought. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted initiation from Ishwarapuri, who accepted initiation from Madhavendrapuri. This came from the line of Madhva Sampradaya, and therefore we are known as Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. Hare Krishna. Yes, any questions or comments here, Prabhu?
एक क्वेश्चन है प्रभु जी,
हाँ
ये
प्रभु.
तत्ववादी क्या होता है प्रभु? लास्ट पैराग्राफ में है.
हाँ, Tattvavadi. So these are the Madhvas, Tattvavadi, Dvaita. You see Madhvacharya always two fingers, two. There is Jiva, there is Bhagavan. They are always distinct. Vishishta Advaita says, no, there is a subtle, there is a qualitative similarity. So this is Tattvavad. But unfortunately, they have, in refuting the pure Advaita philosophy, they have also gone a little overboard and they have become like Gyanis. Extremely invested into knowledge. Gyan. So bhakti is somehow missing. Now more of Gyan remains. Similarly, the problem with Sri Vaishnavas is also that they have gone too much into rituals. Aishwarya Bhav, too much rituals. So again, that the simplicity of devotion is somewhere obscured. I wouldn't say lost, but it is obscured. So this is Tattvavad.
So this line, it reads like this, Prabhuji. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted the chain of disciplic succession from Madhvacharya. The Vaishnavas in his line do not accept the Tattvavadis. who also claim to belong to the Madhva Sampradaya. So the Vaishnavas in his line do not accept the Tattvavadis. Who is that we are talking about? In his line, matlab, we are talking about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or Acharya?
Yeah, the Shad Goswamis, the six Goswamis.
Okay.
So Mahaprabhu himself went and had a discussion with the Tattvavadis, where he informed them that they are too engaged in jnana, neglecting the personal devotional service of the Lord. Hmm. Okay, so maybe we stop here today. We have been going on for quite some time.
Yes, Prabhu.
So we'll continue when we get time. We'll continue with text 20.
Thank you.